So the issue of the VLOOKUP, I noticed that it's actually requesting for, sorry, the Xlookup is actually requesting for a higher version of Excel. What I intend to do is to upgrade my Microsoft Excel to like 2020 or 2021. So with that, there won't be issue of trying to integrate it from outside. So that is the solution for that. So I'm using another system where I have already installed it before now, because I was trying to install it in my new system last time that did not go. But just for us to have the class first, then we can, take our computer to the next engineer shop and upgrade from the version, if it doesn't detect the Xlookup, to a higher version. At least from 2020, you have it inbuilt. All right. But let's just have the class first. Can always take time to fix that since mine is working. Okay, so we are still working with the data we have been working with, which is the the Amazon data. So what I actually want to achieve is to see how we can build an automated system using the Xlookup. And if you remember in the last class where we talked about the Xlookup and the VLOOKUP, I identified some constraints. Constraints like the VLOOKUP could not search for information on the negative direction. It could only search for the information in a positive direction. That is, like I illustrated in that class, if you remember, we have to relocate a particular header, which we use as our lookup value, like this order ID, so that it can fetch values from region, from country. We have to take this down to this so that all this can be in front of it, which will be captured as the positive value. Now, when we also look at the Xlookup, we also have a challenge of data structure. We have a challenge of data structure where we have to transpose our data before we could get it sorted out. So all of these challenges are actually led to what led to the discovery of the Xlookup. So the Xlookup is like an alternative to the VLOOKUP and the Xlookup. So which means that even if you are not able to, let's assume that for the meantime, you are having issue of installing an Office higher version that have it incorporated, you can still be using VLOOKUP to be augmenting it. But once you get it installed, then you can take advantage of it. Okay, so what we are trying to do here, just to explain the system we are trying to build, we are still building automated system. In other words, a system that can help an organization or an individuals to analyze data from, analyze insights from the source data, because that is what we have been doing. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is to design my application user interface, just like I did in the case of VLOOKUP. So exactly what we did with VLOOKUP is what I want to achieve with the Xlookup as an alternative. So let me start by creating my analysis sheet, that is where I am expected to output my my system, or where I am expected to output my findings. through the automated system we want to design. So of course, let me rename it to my, let's say, analysis. Let me call it analysis underscore sheet, analysis sheet. Now, like I said, I want to start by designing the application user interface such that it will be user friendly. So I'll go to my data set. I'm going to build the application interface with the headers in the given data set, which I want to use to design the automated system. So Control C to copy all the headers only. Then I switch back to my application environment and then paste. Now, like I did in the case of VLOOKUP, I'll try to form my application structure. That is the design. So I am arranging it this way, just like we did. All this, you are only trying to structure your application interface. So let me see if I could just have three. So this was exactly what we did in the case of VLOOKUP. So all this I'm doing right now is just like you are refreshing your memory. So I want my application to be user friendly. So I will not want it to be complicated. I want it to be very simple. So I have my structure this way, just like I did. I will select only the headers. That is, I'll click on the first one, then hold down the control button and select only the header cell, only the header cell you are selecting, because I want to transform them to be unique from the values that we are expecting to call from our data source. So I could just bold them and then fill them with certain color. Let me use color that will allow to see the value. Then switch the text color to white. So let's assume we are using this to represent our application structure. Now, just like we did the other time also, so the cell that are expected to output the value, I will also select only those cells. I am holding down the control button while I'm clicking on these cells so that will not select all. And the same thing, I come here, I could just choose this color to represent. Then I'll need to adjust this a little. If you wish, you can adjust this so that you can see all your value. So once this is done, now we want to apply the Xlookup, So for the sake of Ngozi that you just joined in, so like I said, the Xlookup is an alternative to resolve the constraint we encounter when we were using the VLOOKUP. One of it is that the VLOOKUP could not search for value behind the lookup value. It could only search for value in front of the lookup value. Okay, now in the case of Xlookup, we had the challenge of transposing our data. So all of these challenges are what led to the discovery of the Xlookup. So even if you don't want to use Xlookup, it's just for you to depend on VLOOKUP to do it. Now, to apply the Xlookup, all I need is to select. I need to also validate. This particular cell. In other words, you can see that I am not concerned with the location of my lookup value. So even if this is still going to be my lookup value, which is what? Order ID. In the case of VLOOKUP, we have to relocate the whole of this column to come somewhere here so that we can have all this in front of it. But now that I'm using Xlookup, which means that it can search for value in either direction. It can search for value from positive direction and also what? Negative direction. So I'm no longer bothered with where is my lookup value. which is what? Other ID, where I have unique entries. So wherever your lookup value is, let it be here. You can still what? Fetch its corresponding value. So based on that, let me quickly use data validation to call out or to create a drop down of those what? Lookup value. Don't forget, we said that the lookup values are the values that the lookup function we use as a criteria to fetch record from the source domain. Okay? And I said it must be unique. It must be unique, which means that you cannot use region. Why? Because if you look at the column region here, you will agree with me that you have multiple region repeated. So that does not work for any of these scenarios. So we settle for other ID because we discover that all the values here, they are all unique. There is no cell or there are no cells where values are repeated. So any data you are given that you want to apply VLOOKUP, SLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, the criteria is that you look through the data and see whether there is a column with unique value. If there is none, then that data is not qualified to be used for building this kind of automated system. So I'm still going to use this. So from my application interface, I will use my validation function to create a drop down of the lookup value. So I go to click inside the cell where you want to validate. After that, then navigate to data tab. So from your data tab, come to data validation, which is this. Click on it, and then it will prompt you a dialog box like this. So from here, under validation criteria, choose what? List, because the values are still arranged vertically. Then make sure that these two options are checked, like I advised when we were learning the VLOOKUP as well. Then you click inside this source cell in order to invoke or to call the value into this. So once your cursor is blinking here, you switch back to the data. Then from here, then I will just quickly go to where I have my lookup value, which is this column. So I could just what? Select the letter method so that it can capture future entry and then click OK. So you can see that when you come here, you have all the value drop here. So if I click here, all the values we have in that particular column has been extracted here. So I'll click here. So now I have got to my lookup value. In other words, the communication is this. Where this is where we are going to program our Xlookup. So the Xlookup will look up to a value here, take the value, which is the ID. Sorry, I'm supposed to put it here. This is where we are supposed to put it, not here. So let me quickly delete it. So let me go through it again. Data validation, then I select list, get my source data, go to the data set, then call all the values I have under what? ID, and then click. So I have them here. So let me explain the communication again. So the application we are trying to design is that we want a situation, if this is supermarket, if this is, let's say, boutique. Now, this is a sales inventory. We want whereby somebody would pick a product ID and then call out the region, call out what? The country, call out the item type, call out the sales channel, call out the order priority, call out the order date, and so on. So in other words, we are using this ID to call out other information from here. That is the work of the app we are building. So now we have settled validation, which I also told us then that it is optional actually. You can decide to leave it blank and reference it. So which means that they will be they want to impute the value by themselves. But in order to avoid them making mistake, that is why you are helping them to program it. Now, once that is done, now let's go for the Xlookup. So I can start from anywhere. Now, another main thing that this Xlookup has eliminated is the issue of index number. That place where we were tracing, where we are counting from the lookup value to the value we are targeting. If taking the lookup value as lookup value column as 1, then you start counting. All those things does no longer matter when you are using Xlookup. Now you see, I can start from anyone. What I need to know is to know my return value. What am I looking for? Is my return value. I am looking for what? Region. Now, what is my array? My lookup array. My lookup array. That is, in this case, what is going to fetch what I am looking for? The criteria rather I'm using to fetch what I'm looking for is the ID. So let me put it here and type equals to, and then you type Xlookup. So the moment I type S, you can see it's available in this Excel sheet. So I will double click on it. Now I want us to look at the center. You can see we have Xlookup. What are the parameters we have here? We have lookup value, we have lookup array, we have return array. Then, being a logical function, like I explained the other time, all this set of functions still fall under conditional function. Okay, so every conditional function will always have two values, the true value and the false value. So the true value is a value you get when it's able to find the result, while the false value is the value you get when it could not find the expected value. So anything in square brackets, like I've mentioned before, they are optional. So I can decide to say, I don't want to specify if not valid. Okay, so which means that I am 100% sure that it's going to fetch a value, but that assumption is not professional. So now let me break it down. We already know what lookup value is. All the way from VLOOKUP, Xlookup, that shouldn't be an issue. Now, lookup array is the criteria to return the expected value. That is, this is going to be the selection of the values under the order ID, which is the criteria. While return array is what that lookup array is returning, is fetching from the data. Now watch, it is the easiest. If you are able to install this, I don't think you think of using VLOOKUP or Xlookup because they are like wasting of time, observing so many principles compared to this. Now watch out. My lookup array in this case, my lookup array is this particular cell where I validated those information. Then, comma, my lookup array, that was my lookup value. Then my lookup array is the selection of this lookup value in the data set. So I will switch back to the data set, and then what I'm going to do is to select our values under order ID here. Select the first one, and then as usual, take everything. Then comma. So my return array, in other words, what we are saying is that with this value that you just highlighted, order ID, what will the ID that will be selected under this column bring out, return to you? The value selected in this column should return what? Region, because I am currently writing the function in front of what? Region, which means that at the moment I'm using Xlookup
to look for region. Having known my what? My lookup what? Array. So my return array will be the selection of the value under the column where you are expecting the values from. Then, comma, if not found, by default, if you don't specify this, if it doesn't find the value, it will output false. But I don't want to see false, so I will just pass in what it should display if it could not fetch the value. So how do you put that? You pass it as a string. That is, you quote it. You quote it. So what I'm going to simply do is to come here and quote it. Quote it. I will just write not available. Not available. So that not available is the first value. So in case it could not find the right value, what you are going to see in front of that region is not available. Now, you don't need to go back to your analysis sheet before you hit enter. So I'll press enter here. So what is it saying? This value does not match. This value does not match the validated what? Restriction defined for this cell. So let me check what I did. I think the problem is that, we added the validation here before. So let me see, let me change, let me delete the format. Because that drop down, you can see it's just like we are trying to create on top of it. So let's remove this. So how do I remove it? The best way of removing this is to clear the format. So just select that particular cell, go back to Home tab, then come to what? Clear. Select clear format. So if I clear format, let me see. So this is still there. Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do. Because it's not going to be easy for you to clear. So what I will do is just to relocate this. Let me relocate this to... Okay, so let me just use this to find it. What I would have done is to undo the other tab. So now let's go through it again. So this is an opportunity for you to look at it again. So equals to Xlookup. Your lookup value is where you have, I think it should be here. Then comma. That is why most time you distance this, so that, because right now this particular write-up is covering some of the information you want, but I just believe that I am selecting the right value. Now go back to your data set to supply your lookup array, which is the selection of everything you have here. Everything you have here, then comma, then use a value you have here to return a value you have here. That is your return array. So after the comma, you select this. Then if it does not find it, let me output first. So I have it. So this ID, if I change it, for example, you can see that what is communicating. Okay, so let me just distance this from here. So it's working perfectly. So if I change any ID here, it will change the region. Now, the only challenge you could have here is that you have to do it for each of them. You may not be able to autofill it like we did it for, because now we are not working with index value that we can be changing the number to 3 to 4 to 5 to be fetching the corresponding value. So we have to do it one after the other. So let me quickly call for here. So this is, I'm going to do it again, equals to Xlookup. My lookup value is still this, so pay attention. If you could not get it the other time, you should get it now. Comma. So my lookup array is the column where I have this in my data set. So I switch back there and select the whole of this, comma. A value selected here should output country, because right now I want to return country, not region. So I'll select everything here. Then, like I said, since we have confirmed it, we can now program our false value, which means not available. Not available. So I press enter. What is this saying? Okay, so we did not put comma there before the false value. That was what happened. So now let's try and see the communication again. Let me choose different ID. You can see it's calling out the corresponding region and also the corresponding what? Country that is associated with this ID. So that is settled. Now, if you try autofilling, it will not work, like I told you. So you have to, it will generate error. So you have to do it one after the other. So even Xlookup, the only thing we're able to do is to change the. Now let's see whether we can adopt a system of achieving how we modify the first one in VLOOKUP to get ordered. Let's do something together now. So my lookup value is still this, comma. My lookup array is the selection of all the values here in my data set. I come here. So I will use the letter selection method so that my code will not be too long. Now, return, use a value here to return item type, because we have returned region, we have returned country. So I'll select this. Okay. Now I'll press enter. So that has returned what? Item type. So let's try the system again. Let's choose different ID. Perfect. So it's returning the corresponding what? Information. Now let's do something together. Let's see how possible. I'm trying to see how I can make it easier for us. Now let's say I copy this, the whole of this function, just like the way we did it for VLOOKUP. I'm just trying it. I don't think I have done that before, but I just believe it could work for us. That's right. There's nothing wrong with trying. So Control C. Control C. Then press enter to return that one. Then Control V to paste. It's still returning food. Control V to paste. It's still returning food. Just like we did it for VLOOKUP. Control V. The same thing. I hope it worked for us. All right. So now I want to apply a logic. Remember that we noticed that this was constant. This was the only place that was changing, which is the return array. We kept using the lookup array. We were only changing the return. That is what we kept using this to fetch order. So since that one is constant, now let's see if I go to the data now, this is what I want to fetch. I want to fetch 6 channel. Okay, so I have identified my return array, which is what? 6 channel. So I will just come to the data set and find out where it is. 6 channel, which is this. So that is going to be D to D, D to D. So I will just go back here and come here, click here. This place that is showing C to C, I will change it to what? D to D. Change it to D to D.
change it to D to D. Perfect. Perfect. So the logic works. So let's try it again here. Now, I am going to return order priority. So I'll go to the data and check where is order priority. This is order priority. That is E to E. Then I'll go back there, select it, also change here to E to E. Perfect. Then this is the next one, order date. I want to return order date. So I'll go to the data set and check under which column do I have order date. That is F to F. So I come back here. I think this is faster than you repeating the entire process. F to F. Perfect. Now we have issue here. The date format is not in the right format. So you click on it, right click, then select formats. Select format. That will prompt you a dialog box. Click on date. Then you can choose to use any of these formats and click OK. So that is settled. All this, I want to align them. I want them to maintain left alignment. So I'll click so that all the values will be on that alignment. So the same thing, I come here, I want to return ship date. So I'll come here and find out where do I have my ship date. My ship date is under H. So that is going to be H to H. So I don't expect anybody to have issue because I've repeated the steps multiple times. So H to H. Good. So this is still date. Right click on it, select format cell, then switch to date. Choose your desired date format and then click OK. That is settled. Then I want to return unit cost. Go back to the data, find out where you have your unit cost. Sorry, unit sold, not unit cost. That is I. So you can as well write all of them instead of you coming here and just be applying them. So this is I to I. I to I. Then this is going to be, since I arranged them in that order, this is going to be J. So the next one will be K. So if I were to be you just come here and write the alphabet in the order. J, K, L, A, M. So what you'll be doing is just to be selecting and be changing K to K, L to L, M to M, N to N. So let me try and rectify this one. This was I. What was it? Unit price, that is J to J. So I will simply come here, do the same, J to J. It, then K to K. I don't want to go back there. K to K. Then K to K, L to L. So once you have taken note of it, there's no need for you to be going back there. Then here, that is M to M. M to M. Then here, that is N to N. So you can see that all those issues of tracing index, calculating number, all those things are no longer relevant when you are using. Now let's try it again. Let's change any ID and see whether all the columns are communicating. Okay, so you can see everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. Perfect. So any question, you can unmute and talk to me. Any question? There's no question. Let me wait first. Any question? Unmute. Any question? Mrs. Franca, is it clear to us?
Yes, it's clear.
Oh, okay. Who is talking? Was it Oye Franca?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
It's
okay,
clear.
okay. Okay, Ngozi, how about you? Ngozi, we can't hear you. Raise up your voice. So you started. All right, so like I said, I just want to finalize this lookup function in Excel. So like I advised, let's go and upgrade our Excel to at least 2020, version 2020, so that you'll be able to bypass the protocols of trying to install the plugin. So it's as if they have stopped adopting that method, because I tried it, it did not work. So what you will do is to upgrade your Excel to 2020 and above. You will have the lookup, the Xlookup function right there built in. So what you will do is that you may not be able to practice this Xlookup now if you have not sorted out your installation. So just keep the video. Once you get it sorted out, you can go back and apply it. But meanwhile, for the meantime, you can depend on the VLOOKUP. So this is the only topic that I actually want to cover in this section. So by tomorrow, we will look at a powerful topic. We have 2 topics left on Excel before we go for Python. So once we are done with pivot table and conditional formatting, then we should be able to say bye-bye to advanced Excel for data analysis. There's no question, then we can stop here so that we can, let's close on time today. I can prepare the video and send to us. No question?
No.
All right.
But can't we upgrade the Excel on our own data?
You said?
Can't we do it on our own? Must we take it to someone to upgrade?
If you can do it, fine. If you can download, but just that sometimes it requires technical attention. But if you can do it, fine. You can do it, fine.
Yeah, no problem.
Or what you can do, depending on when you get it installed, you can use online on Microsoft, provided you are connected to the internet. You can just log in to Microsoft Office online and practice. You don't need to install. Use that one to practice if you don't want, depending on when you get it sorted out.
Okay.
Are we good to go? All right. So, since there's no other question, see you guys tomorrow. Please, I want to beg us to make sure that we don't miss tomorrow's session. Zada, I may start with, I may take pivot table, which is the highest function and the most used function in Excel for statistical analysis. So I will not want any of us to miss that section. Please, I'm still thinking, I'm still contemplating. So I may just go for VLOOKUP, pivot table, and then probably end Excel with conditional formatting. So I will not advise any one of us to miss that section. But in case you are not able to meet up, you can always have the video, but I also believe that we all did the assignments on Xlookup. Mrs. Onyeye, were you able to do your assignments on Xlookup? I know Ngozi has showed me our own. Mercy as well.
When?
You did?
I'll provide it tomorrow morning. I'll send to you tomorrow.
All right, all right. All right, good night, everyone. Mercy, welcome. So we are closing.
Thank you. Night, everyone.
Sorry, the rain trapped me. Thank you, sir.
All right.